Hello and welcome to EPG Pathshala. My name is Divya and I teach English at the Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad. I teach both language and literature over there. Before I go on into the details of this module, please do remember that initial stage I shall be giving you a very few words about the objective the entire module is supposed to be performing for you. And then we shall be going into the politics and the assigned dramatists that has been given to us as a part of this module. We start. This module's objective is to make the listener aware of a particular moment in Bengali theatre, also in national theatre, but it started in Bengal. It is about the greatly gifted playwright, and basically he is also called as the father of modern realistic play in India, Bijon Bhattacharya. Bijon Bhattacharya, and the play that he has written, the play that he is most famous for is Nobanno, which is, if translated in English, that will be the Harvest Festival. We shall be talking about this play. But then again, before that, we will have to go into Bijon Bhattacharya. Through this module, you would be knowing the basic summary and the basic themes Nobanno tries to grapple with. At the same time, you shall be knowing about Bijon Bhattacharya, a few snippets from his life, and then again, what sort of politics he used to believe in. Also, his association, both professionally and personally, to IPTA. This point will be very important. IPTA as in Indian People's Theatre Association. One of the most important and epoch-making theatrical conglomeration that happened in the subcontinent, started in 1942. But it was dissolved in 1948 with Bijon Bhattacharya leaving the group. But then again, IPTA was not only limited in the dramaturgy alone, it was going beyond. It was having its influence over the singing criteria, the music, and of course in movies. At that time, there were several very important stalwarts of Indian culture who was completely immersed in the IPTA business. For example, none other than Shashi Kapoor's father, Prithviraj Kapoor, Salil Chaudhary, and uncountable important, for example, Ravi Shankar as well. So Pandit Ravi Shankar as well. So there was a very big time that was happening over there in the entire dramaturgy section, entire cultural section. Bijon Bhattacharya is important because Bijon Bhattacharya was the first stalwart, the very first important dramatist the IPTA produced. Actually, IPTA came into existence with the idea of two people. One is Bijon Bhattacharya, the other one is great filmmaker of that time, Ritwik Ghatak. They were both very much friends to each other. Bijon Bhattacharya acted in several of Ritwik Ghatak's immortal films, but those are different contexts. Let us concentrate on Bijon Bhattacharya. Bijon Bhattacharya was born in 1915, and he was born in now it's Bangladesh, in the Zila Faridpur. He came over there in Calcutta and started his dramatic career. Now, one thing, once again, we need to keep ourselves reminding is that no dramatist is free from his or her own brand of politics. Bijon Bhattacharya was a communist, and a hardcore communist. Remember, at that time, communism in India was supposed to be, at that time, I mean, just before independence, 1942 to 48. 1942 to 40 is basically the span of the life of IPTA as well, because after that Bijon Bhattacharya will be leaving IPTA. But then again, we must understand that communism was completely hand in glove with the entire IPTA movement. It spoke about the liberation, not only liberation in the political sense, but also in the financial and sociological sense, the liberation of the poor and downtrodden people of India. Communism and leftism got a very important revolutionary kick at the time in 1943. Why exactly? Because that was the time of the Great Bengal Famine. In order to understand what caused this famine, we need to look at two aspects. One is nature, the other one is politics. As we know that any famine anywhere in the world is actually initiated by nature. At the same time, there was several cyclones, and then there was less monsoon, and then there was a situation of drought at the time. But later on, much after the Britishers left India, the historians have found out that the 1943 famine was not actually nature-made. It was not natural. It was man-made. Why? Because remember, that is the time when the Britishers were struggling to put their foot over there on the country itself, the colony that was India. But they were slowly realizing that the ground is shifting beneath their feet and they will have to go. But before going, they were trying to completely destroy the economic and sociological and the financial backbone of this country. The famine happened because of hoarding. There were several people from the very grassroots level to the topmost level, even to the level of the ministers and everybody, who were hoarding money. Now remember, money doesn't always mean cash. Money might be in the amount of food grains as well, especially when there is a famine happening in the country. Naturally, any food grain is supposed to be way more valuable than gold, for example, gold or jewelry and everything. So what happened, the structure of the famine was, at the rural level, there will be people who are basically landed gentry, zamindars and jotdars and everybody. They would be having the food grains in their godown. Those food grains would be channeled into the cities, where it will be sold off in a price equal to gold, maybe sometimes even more valuable than gold, much valuable in the monetary sense of the term. Naturally, what happened is that the first wave of the famine hit the farmers, because the farmers didn't have the food to eat. Then again, the farmers started a mass exodus from the countryside because they were not having the food over there. They started coming towards the city. The city was like almost overnight completely filled with several naked, skeletal, black, because they were suffering from terrible malnutrition, with their bellies swelling up like balloons, and they would be sitting there on the platform of the station on the footpath, and they would be saying, one of the greatest tragic lines in history. In Bengali, it is called "fan dao." Fan dao means please give me that juice that is made while trying to make the rice, trying to boil the rice. Basically, the rice boiled water. That is what they're asking. Why? Because rice is gold. Now, even if they get that much of water even, that would be better. And IPTA, which started in 1942, and the famine started in 1943, as you can clearly understand, IPTA couldn't shake off the responsibility that they need to produce an acute representation of this famine on stage. It was not play anymore. It was an activism, a social activism. And that was exactly happening when Bijon Bhattacharya took up his pen to write Nobanno, the Harvest Festival. Bijon Bhattacharya is a stalwart and one of the greatest dramatists born ever, specifically because he tried to capture this entire harsh reality of famine in its rawness. There is no song, there is no dance, there is no romantic story as such. Whatever is happening on the stage is pure cold-blooded suffering. So that Bijon Bhattacharya thought the audience watching this play should be shaken out of their sleep, should be shaken out of their ignorance, and they can be taking a very important part in basically abating the entire issue, the entire situation that is happening. Whether Bijon Bhattacharya was successful or not, that is a huge thing of controversy, because as I said, millions of people died at the time. But then again, Bijon Bhattacharya's contribution to the liquidation of the entire static system cannot be undermined. Bijon Bhattacharya wrote many other plays, but then again, Nobanno, the Harvest Festival, is the play he shall be forever remembered for. He was also married to another very popular, and everybody has heard her name, Mahashweta Devi. Mahashweta Devi was actually part of the IPTA at that time. They fell in love and they married, and their son, Nabarun Bhattacharya, became a writer of a very radical nature in his own right later on. But then again, this module is not about him. We will be coming back to Bijon. Bijon Bhattacharya wanted to make the reality to be appearing on stage. So naturally, his stage direction, his light, the acting, the props, the dress of the actors, everything must be absolutely representative of the reality that was happening outside. So Nobanno is not only a play, it is a statement. It is actually a visual representation of the famine. It can be terribly disturbing at times, and you'll be seeing people half naked, completely skeletal, thin. They're dying on the stage over there, people looking at them, yet they're not lifting a single finger to help them. But then again, there is all the reality. The reality in all its roughness, in all its harshness, should be coming to the audience. It would hit the audience like a sledgehammer. That was Bijon Bhattacharya's motive. Without further ado, let us come back to the play itself. But remember, when first Nobanno was staged in 1944, it was done by another theatrical stalwart at that time, Shambhu-mitra. Shambhu-mitra later got immortality as the actor and the director of several plays like King Oedipus, Galileo and all that, but Nobanno was his first success, not only in the monetary sense, but in the sociological sense as well. Nobanno talks about a certain family. Remember, this theme of a family, theme of the undivided family, it always plays a very important role in all of the communist plays that was written at that time. Why? Because family is not only a family, family is home, family is warmth, family is friendship, family is where you find peace. Not only that, family is also a microcosm of the society. Whatever is happening in the family is happening out there in the society. In that way, we can say actually that Bijon Bhattacharya's family is actually a representative of the society itself that is happening outside. And remember, in the family, nobody is equal. Like the 5 fingers over there in your hand, nobody is equal. Somebody would be more noble than the others. But then again, at the end, Bijon Bhattacharya shall end with the family coming together. Unity. Unity not only in the familial perspective, but in the social perspective as well. But let us go from the start. This particular play starts in a village. In a village, and then later on there will be a mass exodus in the city as well. As I said, that was the nature of the famine itself. The primary character are actually 2, both male. One is Pradhan. Pradhan is the character who is basically the patriarch of a farmer family. Very ordinary, but although he was a very prudent and a very skillful farmer, years of hunger has driven him mad. He is half senile now. He has got 2 sons. The elder one is the second protagonist of this play, is Kunjo. Kunjo has a wife, Radhika. And also Pradhan's wife and Kunjo's mother, they are also absolutely part of this entire political turmoil that is going to happen very soon in their life. The play is divided in 4 acts. There are several scenes. Pradhan starts with the Pradhan is burning the bushels of the last few grains that was begotten from his land, and he was slowly going mad. Kunja and his younger son, and Kunjo's own son, who is extremely sick out of hunger. Remember, it gives you dysentery. Hunger gives you dysentery. Hunger makes you dehydrated, and then you die as a skeleton, basically. So they were all struggling with poverty, and they are trying to think what to do. At the same time, there is another section in the same village, the section headed by Harudotto, who are, in Bengali they are called Mojuddar. Mojuddar means the people who hoard. Alright? They are the hoarders. And what do? They are basically taking all the food grains over there in their entire go down, and they will be shifting them to the city so that they can earn more and more money. Naturally, the farmers in our farmers, there is a perennial truth. Farmers in our country, they are poor. That is the essential truth. So they cannot buy it. So they are thinking at that point of time, if we go to the city, we might be getting the food. Because to their farmers' eyes, inexperienced eyes, city is basically like heaven. There everybody gets to eat, which is absolutely far from reality. But then again, that was the idea at that time. But by the time they reach the city, the entire family, they think the madness has increased manifold. Why exactly? Because the city, first of all, as I said, it was suffering from influx, millions and millions people completely influxing into the city itself. There are several more like them. In the meantime, Kunjo's son, young son, dies. So they were all at the very end of despair. They were all sleeping in the under the open sky. They were sometimes sitting on the platform itself. They are trying to scavenge food out of dustbins. A very touching scene occurs over there, where there is a huge marriage anniversary, a wedding anniversary that is happening in some big guy's house, and they were all standing in front of them. Some of the living skeletons can't even stand. They are sitting on the street and they are asking for food. The food is not being given to them, but just beside the house there is a dustbin, and hordes of unused or half-eaten food is being piled up in there. And those people all on their four, like dogs and everything, they are getting into the dustbin, they are fighting with the dogs, and they are taking the food and putting them inside their mouths. It is a completely dehumanized condition that was going on at that time. Now, another tremendously, let's say, bad and dark thing was happening. Since there were so many people coming inside the city, the other people in the city has another source of income. What was it? What was the flesh trade, prostitution. Since there were so many people, so many women coming, many of them young and beautiful, they were putting the bait in front of them that if you agree to get into the prostitution ring, then you would be given money. And if you are given money, then you can buy the food. If you have the food, then you will survive. So basically the nature of survival is such, Bijan Bhattacharya shows us, that human beings do not hesitate to stoop to the extreme low, even if it's necessary. So same thing happens in this family as well. The wife of Kunjo's brother gets into the prostitution ring, and when the brother finds out about that, he absolutely didn't have any idea at first what to do, because he knew that there is no getting out of this vicious circle, and finally they all decide to come back over there in their native village. They do come back, but then again, as we know, the village also doesn't have any food to give them. So the play ends with a new morning, when they're trying to farm the land they had with them. It might be fallow, it might be a time of drought, there might be cyclones, it might be that they will all be perishing under extreme hunger and extreme poverty, but then again, it doesn't matter at all. At the same time, they're bringing jungle greens, they're just bringing jungle greens over there in a pot, they're trying to boil it, they're trying to eat it, and all of the farmers who went into city and lost not only a part of their own, but also their self-respect and dignity, they are coming back, they're saying, we are not gonna give our land to anybody as such. We shall be living like this. We may be poor, but then again, we shall be living with our dignity. So the play ends with everybody singing, and they are hoping that very soon the new crops shall come up out of the ground, and it will all be over, and they will be again happy. Remember, Bijan Bhattacharya does give us a sense of hope, but at the same time, he does not say that the farmers are going to see the change overnight. No. The bright future is about to come. It will come. But then again, it will come later. Most important thing is the hope that it will change, because Bijan Bhattacharya says, if there is no hope, there is no human being. As we understand from the story of Nobanno, that it's, first of all, it's simplistic. Yes, it is simplistic because famine, the nature of hunger, the nature of suffering is simplistic. What is so simple about it? You suffer. There is no more universal language, there is no other universal language than pain or suffering. Everybody understands that. The audience will understand that as well. Another point is that, as I say, the very detailed and extremely intricate stage detailing, stage background, stage props, the acting itself, many famous actors at the time, Mitra himself. The third point is melodrama. Now, here is where we have to stop and just recede a little bit. Melodrama. What is melodrama? Melodrama is basically the kind of acting or the kind of dramatic representation which puts the reality to you, but puts in a very bombastic fashion. So if we look at a performance of Nobanno at this point of time, we might feel that the things are a little out of proportion. People are screaming a lot, people are crying a lot. Even when people are speaking, they are speaking in a very bombastic and very unrealistic way. Bijon Bhattacharya wants to tell you that not really. That was the thing at that time. When we are driven to despair, we are in that condition and we speak loudly, we scream loudly, we cry and we suffer. We suffer and it is loud. Then there is no manner that it cannot be any mellow. Because when people are suffering from hunger, there is no politics involved as such. So in order to hit the audience as much as he can, in order to make the audience suffer with the suffering people on stage who are actually nobody but their own brothers and sisters in a way, Bijon Bhattacharya composed Nobanno. Before we wrap it up, let us just summarize a little. Remember, Bijon Bhattacharya is a stalwart of IPTA, IPTA being Indian People's Theatre Association. It was not limited into dramaturgy alone, it was in films, it was in music, it was in whatnot. But then again, our point of contention is drama only. IPTA had the sociological perspective that they will have to address the thing that is happening. They would have to address the issue of hunger that is happening in India at that point of time. IPTA might have dissolved with time, and Bijon Bhattacharya left IPTA in 1948, but IPTA's influence can be heard even now. And Bijon Bhattacharya single-handedly in the mid-40s completely changed the face of Bengali theatre. Because remember, Bengali theatre before that was what? Theatre is what? Entertainment. Naturally, there will be many entertaining possibilities over there in theatre at that time. There will be a romantic story, there will be songs, there will be dances, there will be a hero, there will be a villain. For the first time, Bijon Bhattacharya brings real-life characters. He says that no, all of these theatres that we see from our perspective, they are nothing but a crude version of reality. Reality doesn't operate in this way. Reality is out there. Reality is out there on the street, on the pavement, on the footpath, in that dead body that is lying over there, like all flight blown and black and bloating for the past few days. That is reality, and he represents the reality over there on the stage. You might be disgusted, you might be finding it awesomely bad, melodramatic, but then again, that is the sociological reality that Bijon Bhattacharya chose to see. The text of Nobanno is found everywhere in several versions, of course in English. I would certainly urge you to read that, and if you need any other informations, please do refer the e-text and learn more section, because there are other informations regarding the play, regarding Bijon Bhattacharya and the characteristics of his play in general. But before I say the final word, remember two things. First, reality is equal to melodrama. Melodrama might seem unreal, but that was the point at that time. Actually, reality became a melodrama, and it is not the melodrama of the television melodrama that we see these days, or the film melodrama that we see in the commercial movies. Not really. It is the melodrama of reality. Reality is loud. reality is black. And the other point is, of course, IPTA. IPTA, Indian People's Theatre Association. As you can see, Indian People's Theatre Association. The people will be involved in this. Now, this involvement of people would be taken forward by several other people. In some other module you would be learning about Badal Sarkar, who would be bringing people even in a more radical sense into the play itself. But remember, Bijon Bhattacharya's job was to initiate it, and Bijon Bhattacharya did that. Thank you very much. I think we shall be meeting each other once again later on. Thank you.